Right, in this video I'm going to have a blast at changing all the suspension on the Toyota Celica, and basically it's all just completely just age really. It's all 17, 18 years old now, so just going to refresh that. I'd planned to do all the bushes as well, so but I'm just limited on time, so today I'm just going to have a blast at doing the front end. And the result of I got KYB suspension, but I've got slightly lower springs as well, so the Celica is known for having this quite big gap here which doesn't sort of suit the sportiness, so they're going to be about 30 millimeters. The car's going to sit 30 millimeters lower as well, so they're all going to go. So I've got all the parts, so we'll have a little blast at that in a minute. So just trying to see if you can see, there we go, it's all pretty much just it's actually riding all right, and it's not, the shocks seem to be doing their jobs. It's not sort of bouncing or anything, but it's just tired, and it'll be a bit better, a bit of a firmer ride, a bit more of a surer ride if we get all that done. Thought just before I start, you might just like to see a sample of what's actually going to be going on my car, and it's like I said earlier, so this is only a small part of it because I want to change all the bushings as well. So we've got all the springs in this box, front shocks, rear shocks, some all new bits, I can't think what they're called, the boots for the shocks and things like that, and the shock mountings and things like that. So all that lot's going to end up on here fairly soonish. Famous last words, but we'll give it a go. Like I said, it's sort of 25 to 5 now, so my plan is probably just to do the front shocks today, and then we'll do the rear shocks another day, and I'll probably just measure the gap between the wheel arch and the wheels there, just out of curiosity, just to see how much we lose when we put the new shocks on as well, and the springs. Right, I've got a very sophisticated piece of equipment here for measuring this gap between the wheel and the wheel arches. Only the sort of premier engineers get hold of this. It's called a block of wood. It's a bit of 3x2, so that just about sort of more or less sort of fits in snuggish. Probably slightly, it's quite tight, that is. So we'll see the difference when we put it in there. So there we go, my very high-tech bit of equipment. So it's a bit less than that, to be honest, but it's pretty close to more or less a 3x2 timber there going in, so probably just under 3 inches. Right, I thought I'd just give you a better look at everything now the wheel's off. You can see the state of the shocks and the boot there and everything, and this lower thiminy bob, whatever that is, where the spring sits on, this little rubber damper. And I've just been spraying loads of penetrating oil there just to give me half a chance when I take those off. So I've got a jack, just it's only just taking the weight. It's not actually sort of doing any lifting. It's just to support everything there, so it doesn't just drop down when I undo the suspension there. So yeah, there's just 3 bolts on the top which you got to undo, and undo the brake lines that are attached to the suspension, and hopefully I won't need any spring compressors because I'm not reusing the springs or anything, so hopefully I'll be able to take it all out in one piece then. So I'll make a start on that, and I'll show you. Right, I thought this would be a good stage to show at the moment before I disassemble it. So I've disconnected the sway bar or anti-roll bar link, ABS sensor, brake line, all these bolts here that hold the suspension on. You see I can actually pull that one out there, they're all pretty loose. So that quite a job to undo those, by the way, and that was really difficult to undo as well because I had to get an Allen key in there and unbolt it the other way very well. I say everything hasn't been touched since it was manufactured, so all that's left to do then is up here is just to take those 3 bolts off there, and then that should drop the suspension. And for now that's why I've just left those bolts in there, just so it doesn't all just drop out uncontrollably. So I'll do that, and we should be good to start installing the new ones then, and I've already done the same on the other side, so that's it. Right, we've got the old spring off, and it looks in bad shape, but believe it or not, everything is actually working fine now. Strut bearings all good, all the rubber's shot and everything, but I haven't actually experienced any real trouble with it. So there's no leaks on the suspension. It's rusty as hell, but everything functions well. I'll know how well the actual shock works once I sort of dismantle it and everything. But there's the new one, which is an exact copy of that one. So we got new springs and all new spring seatings to put on as well. And I've also bought a new, even though it doesn't appear to be anything wrong with this one, I've got a new suspension top mount as well. So we'll put all that together. I'll just keep that one next to it just for reference to make sure I put everything in the right order, and that will be good to go. So the next clip will it all going back. I got the 2 here next to each other. That is in a lot better condition than I thought, to be honest. It's it looks terrible, but it is actually working. But you can see a few small differences. You know, I can, if I push these, push that right in, and that's quite good. It's hard to push in, because it shouldn't be easy. Usually, you'll see it does retract very slowly compared to this one. This is, it's not much difference. It is slightly harder to push out, push in. But you just see the way it goes back out. It's a lot smoother and quicker. You see that one's already come back out. This one's still travelling. So, but whether I'll notice it on the road or not is yet to be seen. So basically, I remembered how all this went back together. I got all new boots and seatings and bits and bobs, so we'll get all that back together. The new spring as well, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing wrong with this spring, but you can see there's the new and the old. There's hardly very little difference. You can see it's just slightly shorter. So we'll get that in, and perhaps the next section there, I'll just show I'll just show it all back assembled there, really, because it's not rocket science to put it back in. It's just the reverse of what we just did to take it off then. Okay. Just a quick look at the assembled unit before it all goes back on. So a good little tip is just take note exactly the position of all the mountings, just so you get the spring back exactly where it's supposed to go and everything, and just don't be too hasty to disassemble the old one. Take note of exactly the positioning of everything. So we'll slip that back in and crack on with the other side then. There we go, it's all back in. ABS line and anti-roll bar link joined on, and brake line, and all looking nice, new and shiny, and hopefully performs well. So everything's torqued up as well, like that's really important, these nuts here as well. So it's always a good opportunity to give everything a good inspection as well while you can see everything. So it looks reasonably, there's quite a lot of corrosion on the brakes, but there's plenty meat on them, so I'm not too concerned at all, and they're all working fine. So hopefully it'll be interesting to see what the difference is. The light's going now, so perhaps in the morning there I'll finish off filming, and we'll see what it looks like then. Right, there's all the suspension done. I've taken it for a test drive. I think you can see it's significantly lower. I haven't done the back yet, so that's just the front. And look at the difference between the back. So I think what I'll do is I'll get that high-tech bit of equipment, our 3x2 timber, which used to If you remember, this bit of timber fitted very easily in between the wheel arches. It's a piece of 3x2 timber. It's nowhere near now, and even the other way it doesn't fit, even the 2-inch way, so we've lost a lot of height there, but I've taken it for a test drive and it doesn't seem to be detrimental to the ride. It seems to drive exactly the same, which is nice. So it's not like a really stiff suspension or anything, so it's just lowered the car, but we haven't lost too much comfort. But I suppose it'll be telling once I change the back again. So there's that 3-inch, it doesn't even fit in the 2-inch way bit there, so it's a huge difference, and I think the car looks a bit better, it sits better. So right, I'm going to have a go at doing the rear now. No puns please. The first thing I need to do is, in the boot I've got to get rid of all that, I've got to take off all the plastic trim. So I'm going to have a quick bash at that, and I'm hoping it's pretty straightforward. I can't actually see any fixings or anything, so we'll just get stuck in, and fingers crossed it all behaves itself and comes off nice and easily. Right, we got all the trim off. Relatively straightforward. There's just a couple screws, not much really, and it's all mainly held in with clips. And the main thing we've got to get to is, if I turn the camera there, you can just about see the top of the suspension mount there, and there's 3 bolts, 2 on this side and 1 on the other side, obviously the same on the other side. So I might even have a go at that before I even jack the car up, just slacken up off those bolts, and we'll have a blast of that now. Alright, here we go. I got the wheel off, so I thought I'd give you a quick glimpse. It's all pretty badly corroded and everything in there, but I'm just trying to undo the nut just down there on the bottom of the suspension, the shock absorber, and it is extremely tight, and the other side's there. I've got a massive breaker bar and I'm struggling with that. I've got my impact wrench and I'm even struggling with that. So it's not a very powerful impact wrench, but I thought that would do it. So I've just been giving it a good soaking with WD-40 and anything else I can get my hands on. So the bolts in the top, I'll give you a quick show. Came up very easily. They've obviously never seen any weather, so I've just loosened all those. No problems with those at all. So it's just the ones on the bottom of the shock there. So I'm just having a little scratch on my head now, so seeing what I can figure out. I'll report back soon, and hopefully we'll have it all off, and I'll tell you. Alright, after loads of persistence, we got the nut off the bottom of the suspension strut there, and basically I resorted to using this fella here, my blowtorch. It was extremely difficult actually. I don't know, well, just 17 years of rust, but I'm just trying to focus in on the nut just to explain something. I don't know if it's sort of tacked, I don't know, let's see if I can get a focus. Yeah, can you see the 4 little, if it's sort of tacked on there in some sort of way or not? But I managed to loosen it obviously, and I've taken it off. And I also found undoing the bolt side rather than the nut, especially on the other side, seemed to get the job done. So I'm not sure if that's the proper way to do it, is to attack it from the bolt rather than the nut. So, you know, maybe that might be a little tip for anyone trying it in future. But so it has been a headache actually. It was extremely tight, and let me just see if I can zoom in on. You can sort of just about see where there's 4 little points on there, and the same on the back of this nut. So I don't know if if that was just sort of holding it really well in place, but we've got there in the end. Loads and loads of WD-40, a bit of heat, and that seemed to do the trick. So I'll show you the next little bit, and any little hiccups we come across, I'll keep you dated with those as well. I won't lie to you guys, this is not a job for the faint-hearted. It's been an absolute of a job. Basically, getting access to the suspension is quite easy. They're shock absorbers and springs, but it's actually trying to get them out which is the issue, because all this lot has had to come out of the way. So all these sort of suspension components I've had to undo. I've had to drop the exhaust as well, with having a nightmare getting the nuts out there, and basically just sort of pull all this out of the way. So I got a bit more play just to drop out. There it is, the spring and strut there. So and one of the big issues is there's a bolt that goes through there, and it hits up against the exhaust when you try to take it out. So I personally can't see any issue in turning that bolt around, so I'm going to do that. So because in future I want to replace all their what they call now the bushers, so I'm going to make my life a lot easier as well. So I've got things like the anti-roll bar and, well, all the bushers basically I'd like to redo eventually. So, but not a fun job. So good luck if you attempt it, and I hope this is helping in any way possible. Right, there's a new shock and spring assembled. Obviously did a mirror image of the old one. There's the old shock and springs there, and much like the front ones, although they're corroded and that's about it, they're not in bad condition. They're doing what they're supposed to, and they don't feel massively different to the new ones, to be honest, which is surprising the age of the vehicle. And I've gone for good quality shocks and springs, so we haven't skimped on sort of brands or anything. They're KYB shocks there, so we everything's sort of decent quality. So the only main difference is just we're getting that 30mm lower ride height, that's all. So I'll put all this side back together, and we'll get the other side on, and look forward to the headache of the other side. And again, unless you got the tools, decent tools, like impact wrenches and good breaker bars and decent spanners, it's a job I wouldn't recommend someone to attempt. So if you're confident with cars and everything, and you've got a decent toolkit. Otherwise, if all you've got is an adjustable spanner and a couple of screwdrivers, I'd stay clear if I were you. But that's not what this video is about. It's just showing you how it's done, and by all means have a go, and hopefully you'll find it a little bit easier than I did. But right, we've got everything back on, it's all bolted where it should be. So I thought while it's off and we got the parts, I thought I may as well stick some new brake pads in. So just got a 14mm bolt there, whip that out, famous last words, make it sound nice and easy, and swing this open and slip some new pads in, and I got new pins and shims as well. So they're all in there, some new pins in there, and nice new pads, and some genuine Toyota parts as well. So we'll get all that in. So it'll only take a couple minutes, and I thought it's a good opportunity to do it while the car's in this position. So I'll whip those on, and that's one less job then. There we go, nice new pads on there. Pretty straightforward. And you can see the state of the old ones there. It's especially the pins as well, which I've replaced. You can see it up against the new ones there. So just as important as going is stopping as well, so we're good to go there. Just I didn't think there's so many videos on how to put pads on and things. I didn't think it was too necessary, but they're very straightforward. This is the opposite side, and obviously it's much the same as the other side. What I had to do is take the exhaust mountings off and drop the exhaust right down, just to, same issue as before, so I could pull the bolt out of there. And I think I figured out why Toyota do it that way round. It's just to ensure there's plenty clearance between the muffler there if there's any movement, so they put the bolt side on that side, but it makes it just a pain to take out. But I'm going to put it back the other way, and there's enough clearance. I'm happy enough with that. So this side, well, like I said, just much the same as the other side, just a bit of an issue with the exhaust. So I'm going to do the same as well. I'll put some new pads on here while I'm at it. Obviously you wouldn't just do one side. So we'll get that done, and we'll have a look at the car with the wheels back on and see the difference. There we are, it's all done now. I've just rolled it forward a bit and taken the handbrake off, because that sort of was lifting the back up a little bit, so you can see the sort of the true height. And I'm just going to take it for a test drive now, see if there's much difference. I'll see if I can get a sort of a before and after, but it's a lot lower in the front, definitely, and definitely quite a bit lower at the back as well. So that was well, I could get my hand in fully in there before like that, and so that looks a lot better. I think it's one of the things that sort of spoiled the car a lot. And it's only 30mm, but I can even feel the difference just stepping into it, and I've even had trouble getting the jack under the front now, which I never used to have trouble before. My little trolley jack, it's a lot tighter now. So, but probably there's minuses and pluses. Probably hit a few slow bumps and things like that. But I'm going to take it for a little test drive now. But that was changing all the suspension, front and rear, springs, shocks, and we've also, while we had it apart there, I thought the back brakes were looking a bit ropey, so we've got new brakes as well. So I'll see if I got a before and after comparison just next to each other, and I think that will sort of show it off a bit better. But it should also hopefully as well sharpen the ride as well, and just make it feel a bit sharper as well. So I think all in all a good thing. And please like and subscribe, and as usual there's loads more videos to come.